Deadly violence between Buddhists and Muslims in Burma's Rakhine state continues. Some 2,000 minority Rohingya Muslims have fled to neighboring Thailand to escape attack, but a deadline for their temporary stay there ends soon.
The Rohingya have lived in Burma for decades but are denied citizenship there and regarded as illegal immigrants from Bangladesh. Now reports have surfaced suggesting they're also being mistreated in Thailand. Reporter Steve Sandford spoke to some of the Rohingya about their plight and shared what he learned with On Assignment's Alexiou. Let's start with some of Steve's report.
Since January, nearly 2,000 people claiming to be Rohingyas fleeing sectarian violence in Burma have been apprehended and detained by Thai authorities. Denied citizenship in their own country and desperate to escape persecution, many are vulnerable to exploitation. Ahmed Tiliman was held captive in the Thai jungle with a group of fellow Rohingya by traffickers who brought him from Burma. He was released after his relatives in Malaysia paid $1,500 for his freedom.
There's roughly 800,000 Rohingya living in Rakhine State. A lot of them have been living there for generations.
Who's taking them on these boats, and how bad are the conditions on the boats, and how far and how long are these trips?
These trips can last for weeks on the high seas. They're cramped boats, a lot of rickety old boats that these people are cramped into.
Amahai Aricha from Sitwe says she fled to sea after soldiers shot her two sons.
There was no water on the boat and we were desperate. Some people passed out, others vomited. I want to die here. I don't want to go back. I have no family left in Sitwe. They've all been killed.
In recent years, boatloads of mostly male economic migrants from Bangladesh and Burma have made their way down the coast in hopes of reaching predominantly Muslim Malaysia. This year, with the escalation of violence in Rakhine State, more women and children are making the precarious journey.
The brokers are often ruthless. They charge a set fee for them, and they get picked up by Thai authorities. They get mixed up with criminal elements in Thailand as well. So it's not a pretty picture.
Despite condemnation from human rights groups after footage like this was aired, conditions for the men remains unchanged. But mounting media reports implicating Thai security in the trafficking of some Rohingya seems to have gotten the attention of top officials.
I know these are very crowded places. That is why we are going to expand the new center for them to stay. The new area will be more of a waiting camp. We will have a doctor and medical treatment available for them.
Most of the violence has been targeting the Rohingya, which are basically an ethnic group in Burma that haven't been recognized since 1982. There was a Citizenship Act implemented by the Burmese regime, basically stripping them of their nationality and their citizenship.
And what was the reason behind that?
Good question. There's been racial tension between the two groups that's been going on for decades. The Buddhists are strongly nationalist, I guess, and perhaps they saw the Rohingya as a threat. There's been a lot of ethnic tension between the Buddhist Burmese and the other ethnic groups within the country as well.
Yeah, so is this tension more ethnic discrimination, or is it more religious, or a combination of both?
I think it would be a combination of both. It's sectarian violence that's been occurring. It originated years ago, but in June there were attacks in Rakhine State on the Rohingya population. Since that time, the attacks have expanded to the Muslim sectors of Burma. A lot of anti-Islamic propaganda that has been instigated by certain groups in Burma.
What is your personal experience like when you're talking to these people? They don't really have anywhere to go. Seems like nobody wants them.
Exactly. They're very desperate. Back in Burma, they're being segregated. They're put into IDP camps far away from the towns. I was there last November, and things have gotten a lot worse in terms of the weather. The rainy season has set in, so there's a lot of areas, a lot of camps that are underwater right now. There has been more aid and access delivered into the area, but at the same time, because of the weather, there's going to be a lot more sickness and a lot of health issues, I think. And just, yeah, they're just trying to figure out who will take them.
The Rohingya still struggling to find a place to call home. The United Nations calls the group one of the most persecuted minorities in the world. Our thanks again to reporter Steve Sandford in Thailand.